manager and co-founder of Rockefeller Records. She was still with Dash when she passed away, and the story goes that they were planning to get married at the time. Dash later said, 20 years after her death, "There hasn't been one day since she's passed that I haven't either heard her name, heard her music, or seen a picture of her. Every single day she's present in my life." The strange thing was, though, not long after she passed in 2001, Jay-Z embarked on a world tour and released 2 albums with R. Kelly, and according to Dame Dash, that was the beginning of the end for Rockefeller Records as a whole. This is a quote from an article of an interview with Dame Dash. Dash and Aaliyah met in 2000 and continued to date until the singer's tragic death in 2001. But just a few months after Aaliyah died, R. Kelly and Jay-Z released The Best of Both Worlds, a collaborative album that Dame Dash strongly opposed. "If you remember The Best of Both Worlds, you don't see my name on that. I never wanted any part of that," the music mogul explained. Dame Dash said Jay-Z knew about R. Kelly's alleged sexual abuse of young girls, including Aaliyah, but that didn't stop his Rockefeller co-founder from teaming up with a singer. Dash claims he refused to be credited on the album and that he donated his profits to a charity that Aaliyah supported.
I've been destroyed.
He said, "I know morally we weren't the same," referring to Jay-Z. So to me, Rockefeller was over. I couldn't fuck with it. It was something to me that I don't want to say was unforgivable, but I couldn't understand it. Whether or not Jay-Z went out and worked with R. Kelly out of bitterness that Aaliyah chose someone else over him, or if he just didn't care at all, is a question that might never get answered. In the end, though, knowing that he knew what R. Kelly did, both options paint Jay-Z as an uncaring, even sociopathic person who had no problem choosing profit over doing the right thing. And not long after the release of Jay-Z's 2 joint albums with R. Kelly, Rockefeller essentially split. There were a variety of factors
Jay-Z
at play,
did 2
from
albums
strained
with R.
relationships
Kelly.
with clients to
Doesn't
disagreements with
surprise me.
executives. But Dame Dash still maintains to this day that Jay-Z's decision to collaborate with R. Kelly shattered any trust he had in him as a friend or colleague. From RollingOut.com, Dash recalls the moment that he confronted Jay-Z about working with R. Kelly, describing a heated exchange that ultimately spelled the end of their empire. "I was like, yo, how are you going to do a project with a guy that raped my girl?" This raw conversation marked what he calls the nail in the coffin for their partnership. Not long after that incident, all shares of Rockefeller were sold to Def Jam in 2004 for $10 million. At that point, Jay-Z was named the president of Def Jam, and that would somehow turn out to be even more controversial and questionable than what he had done already.
Fucking Def Jam.
Jay-Z spent 3 years as the president of Def Jam, not in an honorary or symbolic position, but actually working in the company. He even announced that he was retiring from music completely to focus on his new role, releasing the Black Album, which many people called one of his best records, as his final project. And Def Jam was doing well when Jay-Z got there. They had artists like Kanye West, DMX, Jeezy, Joe Budden, Ghostface Killah, and more on their roster already. And Jay-Z made a number of ambitious moves while he was with the company, one of the most notable being signing Rihanna in 2005. She quickly became one of the biggest pop stars in the world, releasing 14 #1 songs and becoming one of the highest selling artists of all time when she was still in her early 20s. But how Jay-Z actually signed her in the first place was a strange situation on its own. Rihanna had originally been scouted by a producer visiting her hometown in Barbados and even left her home country to stay with the family of the person who noticed her talent so she could get developed, all at the age of just 16 years old. Within a year, she ended up in front of Jay-Z, and the story goes that he believed in her talent so much that he kept her in his office until 3 a.m., telling her that she could either sign a deal with Def Jam or leave his office through the window, and at the time, the label's office was on the 28th floor. And threatening to throw a 16-year-old girl out of a window if she didn't sign a contract with him was only one example of Jay-Z wielding his record exec power in a way that many people found questionable. Even back when he first took the job, people were writing posts about how Jay-Z's position was nothing but bad news for the company. How does being a rapper qualify someone to run a rap label? It doesn't, and the Jay-Z situation at Def Jam illustrates exactly why rappers should rap and people who know how to run labels should run labels. Let's take a look at a few situations that Jay has messed up horribly as a businessman in just the past 6 months. Basically, people's issues with Jay-Z running a big label came down to him being biased, having his own career and reputation that he was always going to prioritize no matter what, while also having a ton of control over other people's careers. And he stepped on more than a few toes while he was president at the label. Rappers, especially Jay-Z, are fantastic at self-promotion. He didn't get put on by being humble and staying out of the limelight. But as the president of a label, one has to know how to get others into the limelight, and it seems that Jay-Z is completely unwilling to let anyone shine except for himself. Let's go back to this past summer. Jay-Z beef with Crystal, something I chastised him for on this site, but little did I know there was another reason to get on Jay for this. 2 months later, Def Jam released Method Man's album. What on earth was Jay-Z doing, putting himself in the spotlight at a time when he should have been pushing a lead single for Method Man and giving him a budget for a video? Method Man is a legend in the game. As a part of Wu-Tang Clan, he helped bring New York hip-hop back, and he was instrumental in changing the sound of the scene at a time when the airwaves were ruled by West Coast funk. Instead of big-upping the legend and putting him on the pedestal he belongs on, Jay-Z essentially ignored the release of his album. Bad business move. The label has to sell albums for all of their artists, not just one. And there were even more examples of artists disagreeing with Jay-Z's leadership at the label. LL Cool J and Cam'ron both vocalized issues with a peer like Jay-Z being put in a position of power above them, but DMX's reaction was probably the strongest. X was one of the biggest rappers in the game at the time, but he ended up leaving Def Jam in 2006 after expressing many times that he didn't trust Jay-Z to have so much power over his career when he himself had his own brand to look after. DMX spoke many times in later years about how he felt Jay-Z tried to eliminate him as competition or blackball him by refusing to release his 6th album, forcing him to leave the label if he wanted his music to see the light of day again. And Joe Budden was another artist that wasn't a fan at all, later saying, "This was the first time that a rapper, our peer, was calling the shots, in charge of DMX's release date and LL Cool J's release date, and none of us took that well." Of course, that's only one of Jay-Z's moves in his music career that people consider a dark mark. There's another incident in 1999 where he was sentenced to 3 years probation for stabbing a record executive who he thought was bootlegging his music. Also around the end of Rockefeller, just before his time at Def Jam, many people felt he had done dirty business against his 2 co-founders when he didn't involve them in negotiations to sell their label to Def Jam. Jay-Z undeniably did make a huge impact in the industry throughout his career, helping launch influential stars like Kanye, Rihanna, J. Cole, and more, but in a lot of ways he left a trail of disappointment and bad business behind him. Artists like Tierra Marie, Cam'ron, Emil, Beanie Siegel, and many others have all talked about how Jay-Z failed to support them when it was his job to do so, showing favoritism or just ghosting their careers while they were signed to him. While Jay-Z's career as a record executive comes with a long list of achievements, at the same time he also showed many times that he was willing to do whatever it took to push himself forward, even if that meant ruining relationships with people he was responsible for, cutting his longtime partners out of deals, or even worse. But Jay-Z's influence still stretched even beyond the music industry. He also emerged as a powerful voice for social justice, having a big impact on politics at the height of his career. Especially during the tense social climate of the mid and late 2010s, Jay-Z was known for helping pay legal fees and provide support for a number of people who were widely recognized as not being treated fairly by the American justice system. He was a huge supporter of Colin Kaepernick and even turned out a Super Bowl halftime show performance to show support for him. And he also helped 21 Savage avoid deportation from the US. He even reportedly spent millions of dollars helping Meek Mill stay out of prison after an incident where he popped a wheelie on a dirt bike, ended up being a probation violation, and put him behind bars for 6 months. Even more so, though, Jay-Z was known for providing representation for people who really needed it. Not just rappers and athletes, but people like Jabari Talbot, an 11-year-old kid who was arrested in Florida for not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance in his 6th grade classroom. And that's just one of many examples where Jay-Z used his own money to provide legal support for people facing injustice, even meeting with the governor of Minnesota after George Floyd was killed in 2020. When Barack Obama took office as America's first black president, Jay-Z became a frequent visitor to the White House and a vocal supporter of progressive policies. On October 31st, 2021, Barack Obama himself said this about Jay-Z. "I've turned to Jay-Z's words at different points in my life, whether I was brushing dirt off my shoulder on the campaign trail or sampling his lyrics on the Edmund Pettus Bridge on the 50th anniversary of the Selma March to Montgomery. Today, Jay-Z is one of the most renowned artists in history and an embodiment of the American dream, a dream he has helped make real for other young people like him." When a former president of the US calls you the embodiment of the American dream, that's a whole other level of success, and it shows just how influential Jay-Z became
Please stop.
over the years.
Please stop.
And realistically,
Why won't you
it
move
allowed
up
for
and
his
down?
PR too. By getting involved in giving and helping for people who needed
Please stop.
it, he only
Please
added
stop.
to the reputation
Please
he
stop.
had as an artist who represented
You are not
something
letting me
real,
move
powerful,
my
and
camera
profound.
for
Being
some
someone who started
reason.
from zero, selling crack in the streets of New York, started rapping, and within a few years was a record executive, and then turning around and spending his own money to help people who need representation, speaking for actual causes, he was an icon of black excellence, someone who could actually make a change in the world and was willing to stand up and do it. With articles like how Jay-Z became a civil rights champion getting published on major news sites all throughout the
Jay-Z
2010s,
is not
he
a
became
civil
somewhat
rights
a political
champion.
icon, or at least that's what the official narrative was. Throughout his career,
Fuck
though,
yeah.
if you look a little bit
Yeah,
closer,
right.
a different story also sits in plain view. Despite his work in activism, the charitable giving, the record-breaking discography, the icon status as a living embodiment of the American dream, over time, a darker side of Jay-Z as a person and a businessman became clear, and a lot of people's perception of him has changed. And that side has a greed for money and a lust for power by any means necessary. And the closer you look, it seems to go against a lot of the values people thought he embodied. Even with his career in activism, a loyalty to money and success over values and principles started to show. Having once supported NFL player Colin Kaepernick and his political protest on the field, Jay-Z even criticized the NFL for the way they treated him publicly. But he then went on to sign a deal to help organize Super Bowl halftime shows, which many people felt was hypocritical and self-serving. And that's not even getting into how many people felt like Jay-Z completely betrayed them after he started advocating for black people to gentrify their own hoods. For many people, that feels like the voice of elitism, greed, and inequality. Getting rich and gentrifying your old neighborhood doesn't save it. That's just the same definition of gentrification as it always was, meaning that residents would get displaced as the area gets more attractive for wealthier people who are from out of town to move in. And the issue was, Jay-Z did do that in real life. He owned a small portion of the Brooklyn Nets NBA team for a number of years, and as part of that, he also invested in the construction of a new arena for the team. Attached to that arena development was a plan for 17 new high-rise buildings, some of which are still under construction today. However, it quickly became one of the most controversial building projects in American history, because in order to start building, they didn't build it on top of abandoned lots or vacant buildings, but instead used eminent domain to find space. That's the process of the government taking people's houses and demolishing them to build new stuff on top. In the process of setting up the new arena and the surrounding buildings, hundreds of people from Brooklyn were forced to move from their homes so expensive apartments could be put there instead. Jay-Z, not long after, sold his share of the arena for a $500,000 profit. In the years since, this project has been called a disaster that raised the cost of living in Brooklyn for hundreds of thousands of people without providing any benefits to locals. It's not hard to see that as Jay-Z selling out his own neighborhood for a quick buck, giving into the corporate machine for his own benefit. But even then, that's not the only time Jay-Z has faced controversy for his investments and business interests. Jay-Z was never just a rapper. He might have been one of the greatest rappers around for a long time with a long list of awards, classic albums, and so on, but even in the early days of his career, he was recognized also as an entrepreneur. I mean, he literally founded his own label that went on to be its own successful company just so he could drop a project. And across his career, he would go on to push the boundaries of what entertainers can do to leverage their fame. Just a few years into his rap career, around the time of his third or fourth album, he and Rockefeller co-founder Dame Dash founded Rocawear, a clothing brand that within 10 years would be sold for more than $200 million. An insane sum for someone who was just 10 years ago selling CDs out of his car. Various sources report an annual revenue for Rocawear of anywhere from $50 million to $600 million when the brand was at its peak. Basically, Rocawear was a pretty iconic brand. In 2011, he also invested a few $1 million into Uber, which over time increased to the point where it made him over $100 million. In 2015, he bought and became the face of Tidal, a music streaming service with a focus on hi-fi sound quality and better pay for artists. Depending on who you ask, Tidal was either a huge success or overall kind of a failure. Even though Jay-Z, Beyonce, and others made their music available exclusively on Tidal for a couple of years, it never really took off with the general public, and they later even got caught faking streams on Beyonce and Kanye albums to make their stats look better. Jay-Z eventually sold Tidal to Twitter founder Jack Dorsey for $300 million, making Jay-Z a ton of money, but not becoming the game-changing company he had promised. In fact, many of the artists who stood with him at the start to endorse it, like Nicki Minaj, later talked about how they never got paid in any way for promoting the app. Still though, in 2019 he became the first hip-hop artist to ever reach billionaire status, with Forbes describing his wealth as a sprawling, diversified financial empire. For a lot of people, this added to Jay-Z's aura. Not only was he someone who could make generation-defining music coming from a background of selling crack, but he also became a billionaire. It was simply unprecedented. The promises of his music, being a mouthpiece,
I couldn't ever sell
it
crack.
had come true
I couldn't
in
do
the
that.
biggest way possible. Even Warren Buffett, the legendary investor worth $100 billion, once said, "For a young person growing up, Jay-Z is the guy to learn from." For a lot of people, it represented the power of hard work, the importance of believing in yourself. I remember in 2013, I wanted to be an entrepreneur after listening to Magna Carta Holy Grail and learning more about Jay-Z. For millions of people, he embodied the dream of being self-made. But in the end, for many others, Jay-Z no longer represents the same message he did in the past. For a lot of people, his story now is more about corruption, abuse, greed, and the dark, exploitative reality of the entertainment industry. The stories of how he treated people, the sort of business he did, and what he was willing to do to find success and protect his investments, it paints a different picture than his PR machine has pushed for the last 25 years. And ultimately, in 2024, Jay-Z isn't really seen the same as he used to be. He still does have 30 million monthly listeners on Spotify, people still love his music, and he was just named the greatest rapper ever by multiple outlets last year, but there are a lot more people than ever starting to point out strange hypocrisies in his words and actions over the years. One of the worst ways that Jay-Z's greed has shown over the years is his friendships and networking with some of the most evil people the entertainment industry has ever seen, and that in itself has led to some really serious accusations against him in the past year. In late 2024, when Jay-Z was sued by controversial attorney Tony Busby for assaulting a minor with Diddy 25 years ago, His response was immediate and shockingly upfront for a person who has practically never responded to any other allegation that's been laid against him in the past ever. He said this: "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whoever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. You have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same, but I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain." And Jay-Z's response may or may not turn out to be the truth. The lawsuit against him was immediately made cloudy and controversial when the anonymous accuser admitted her story was full of inconsistencies, but still, the case has not yet been dismissed. Not to say it is or isn't true, it definitely could be, but ultimately you don't even need to prove that he did that particular terrible thing to show that he isn't above other terrible things. Because the key truth that came out of that accusation wasn't that he did or didn't assault a minor, but instead that he was close friends with P. Diddy, one of the biggest monsters to ever work in the entertainment world. But you don't need a lawsuit to reveal that, because it was never a secret to begin with. And not long after the lawsuit came out, Jay-Z's legal team said this: "Mr. Carter has nothing to do with Mr. Combs. They knew each other professionally for some years, just like in all professions people know each other. At the music awards, they support each other. If you go to the NBA All-Star game, they support each other. That's just how professions work. There is no closer association between any of them." But that part is just a lie. Diddy and Jay-Z had been friends for a very long time. Both coming up as big industry figures in the 90s and reaching similar levels of success, they've collaborated on music, charity events, concerts, and they've even called each other brothers in the past. A few years ago, they were seen together at a black billionaire brunch where Diddy made an infamous toast as Jay-Z.
P. Diddy and Jay-Z are
It's hard to
best
imagine
friends.
that Jay-Z never knew at any point in all of his interactions with Diddy across those decades that something was wrong, especially while literally the entire general public knew about his monstrous behavior when it was still just rumors. And that's why it ultimately doesn't really matter if Jay-Z was part of Diddy's crimes or not. The idea alone that he might know who Diddy really was and was still happy to stand by Diddy for photos and events and have brunches and call him a brother, that in itself is bad enough. But it's not like he hasn't done this before. Working with Foxy Brown and making sexually explicit music with her when she wasn't even old enough to drive, going on tour with R. Kelly knowing he abused his ex-girlfriend, selling out his own hometown to property developers for a quick buck, leaving his co-founders out to dry when he sold his record label. You don't have to look at theories about him being involved with Diddy to see that he's already guilty of that same sin anyway. And that sin is ultimately greed. Getting to the level that Jay-Z reached requires you to be willing to do anything, whether it's screwing over other artists, threatening kids, stabbing another man in the stomach over a record, doing a world tour and collab album with his ex-girlfriend's abuser, not paying co-founders like Nicki Minaj for promotion on his app, writing the business partners who made his career out of the company.
Oh, damn
Jay-Z's
it.
path is one that he started on 40 years ago when he was dealing crack to his own neighbors so he could buy luxury cars and jewelry. But ultimately, pointing out that Jay-Z is a controversial person is a lot harder than it is for P. Diddy or R. Kelly or anyone else, because he has done a lot. For those guys, the evil was always obvious. They were bad at hiding it. Everyone could tell. Jay-Z gets a lot more credit for being vastly better at making music and creating narratives, but ultimately, he still has that greed in common with them. It's easy to look at Diddy and Jay-Z and all of their mutual friends like Oprah and everybody else and feel like there's a conspiracy around them being in cahoots with each other. And that might be true, but ultimately what brings them all together is the love of money. They're an example of what happens when you're willing to do literally anything to push yourself forward. And so in the end, he isn't that different from someone like Diddy, who even before being arrested had an insane reputation of hurting, exploiting, and using everyone he worked with. Jay-Z is just much better at making music and creating narratives. But again, the truth is, it's simply a fact that in order to get anywhere near the level of fame and money that these people have achieved, you have to be ready and willing to do what Jay-Z did, and what Diddy did, or anybody else like them. And what they did is simple. They betrayed any sense of moral responsibility to be good towards others so they could get ahead. Jay-Z is no different than anyone else. There is no billionaire worth praising. But again, it's hard to completely condemn Jay-Z. He helped many people get out of prison, he has the cosign from Obama, and most of all, he's made a ton of music that people actually love. Jay-Z's public profile doesn't have a completely black and white bad legacy. And that's what makes it more complicated than just seeing an out-and-out monster when you look at someone like Diddy. He knows how to do enough good to look good enough. Still though, in a world where people like Diddy and R. Kelly and Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein and so many others are finally called out for being evil in private while they parade their success to the world, Jay-Z isn't far off from being right next to them. Unless, of course, he is literally right next to them. It's ultimately
He
a
is right
classic
next to
example of separating art from the artist. You can listen to Jay-Z's music, a lot of the great music he made, and you can take away something from it for yourself. Because music can be a good source of motivation or a story, but you don't need to idolize the person behind it. You can appreciate the artistry while acknowledging someone's flaws. Jay-Z was once a kid from Brooklyn, hungry to make a name for himself and get out of his situation in life. He wanted to get something, and he got it. And then he got more, and more, and then more, until the person he became didn't have much in common with who he used to be, or really anyone else, as he became more and more elite and attached himself more to the capitalist system. But ultimately, Jay-Z's story is a reminder of human nature itself, because greed is a corrupting force that can turn even the best intentioned people into monsters. Plus, the reality of Jay-Z's character and life is bad enough without adding theories about the Illuminati or secret sex trafficking into the mix. And look, that stuff might be true too, but in the end, everything he's done in public is pretty serious anyway. All we can do as normal people who will never be billionaires, will never be A-listers, we can remember that these celebrities and entertainers are not our leaders, they're not our gods. They're always imperfect, sometimes evil individuals acting in their own best interest the same way we do in our own lives. If you're interested in more of my creations, you need to check out Spirit World, my independently owned line of solid silver, hand-painted jewelry. Each piece tells a story and is designed to not just be fashionable and well-made, but most importantly, it carries a reminder of the journey of life and the importance of continuing on no matter what. It really does stand for something. I started this brand completely independently. I design, ship, and fulfill every order, and every penny from our sales goes into being able to make more videos like this. These videos are often not YouTube friendly, and a lot of what I make gets demonetized. However, this channel is the main source of income for my family, and hundreds of hours of work go into every video. So Spirit World is a huge deal for us and allows us to keep making videos that people care about. My current favorite piece that I never take off is the darkest night and the brightest day, a silver piece of a sun rising over a night full of silver stars. It's a reminder to persist and reach your goals, and you can wear it every day. For me, it reminds me that the only thing crazier than focusing on my goals is sitting around doing nothing, because the morning always comes, and you have to keep moving. By making these, all I want to do is remind you that the only thing crazier than trying your hardest is never trying at all. It doesn't matter who you are. Rapper, a producer, a photographer,
it's better to be a
writer,
contender
anything.
than a spectator.
We all get a new chance to work hard and reach our goals every day. Of course, though, Spirit World has all kinds of pieces, including a new pair, Chaos and Harmony, which are the craziest designs I've done yet. Anyway, if you want to grab some really beautiful silver jewelry that's actually really well made and will last for as long as you do, you can go to spiritworld.store and grab a pendant and chain right now. Shipping is always free in the US, and you can use the code VOLKSGANG for a special discount just for watching Volksgeist. And
She doesn't have anything.
Entering Silent Witness 11. Mako.
Hello there. Can I help, sir?
Get out of the way!
Emergency eject successful.
Goddamn jackass. Perhaps we don't have to fight this guy.
Autopilot engaged. Autopilot entering silent witness 11. Queen's Guard. Ejected.
What?
Emergency eject successful.
Keep getting attacked over and over again. So now we go out. It's a bright day. Maybe we can go out the other way. That might be viable.
Mako.
Hello.
Entering silent witness 11. Ejected.
Oh, come on! I don't know, man.
Emergency eject successful.
I don't know, man. cannot move my mouse.
Entering silent witness 11.
I cannot move my mouse. What the fuck, man? You're acting all hella glitchy.
Damage is getting serious.
Ejecting.
God damn it. You're like glitched. You're fucked up and you're fucking me up. I couldn't even take control of my fucking spacecraft. The game's janky. God damn it. I can't move. You locked up my controls. This game's constantly lock up your controls. It's so annoying.
Entering silent witness 11. Mako.
Hello there.
Ah, your camera. It's like, your camera. What? Why? God damn it, man.
Eject successful.
Your fucking camera, man. I don't know. Why was this a long, long time ago? I don't know. I'm gonna have to survive this somehow, but I don't know if I can. It's fucking annoying. I just don't have the hull to survive this thing. Maybe I can just run from him. I'll just run from him for a long time. The hell was that? What was this? What are you doing? What? Yeah, I need to be revived. Did it kill me? Yeah, whatever it was, instant jibbed both of us. Which makes no fucking sense. Whatever. Odd. Why are we... Oh, yeah. Because,
Entering silent witness 11. Eject.
Go back. Oh, damn it. Something's wrong with it. I needed to just try and make the run, and I think I can maybe make it. We'll see. What? What was that? The hell was that? Alright, let's go and run this stupid ass thing. Oh god. Nice, through essence. Oh god.
Seriously.
Ejecting.
God damn it. I have to reload again. That's what he's killing me. So gunpowder. Get out of my way. Did we get these? I think we get this. I think we clear this. Go. Trump got no punishment in the hush money case. I can't believe that. Sentence without penalty. Oh my god. Kill both of us, huh? I'll kill him first. Or, well, I'll figure out where the spawn is. Ah, you're not letting me move. Come on, man. Let me take control. Let me take control. Nope. You loaded and you glitched and you locked me up. You locked me up, you worthless piece of shit game. Let's go. Oh, you're so annoying. I have a lot of base work to do. I've been avoiding. Just trying to get outward bound. Okay, there.
Mako.
Give me this.
Hello.
Okay. First thing we're gonna do is I don't want to do any more of that bullshit, so we're gonna save right here where I have control. God damn it. Let's see if we can outrun him. I need repairs before I can fight this guy. It's fucking annoying. I don't know why the hall... Like, I guess, yeah, the hall is a thing, yeah. Like, they're gonna go through first, are they?
Accelerator. Silent witness. 11.
I can't do anything. You're, like, locked or something. I'm not really sure what's going on. Yeah. Stop that. Stop that. So, did they go through?
Elite. Vanguard.
Yeah, they went through. Now, yeah, let them fucking fuck with those guys. Okay, here we go. That's a little bit better. Let's see if we can do this a little better.
Entering. Silent witness. 11.
Resilicating hits.
I cannot move.
The consequences of your aggression will be dire.
I can't move. You're not letting me boost. Let me boost. Let me boost. Let me boost. What's your problem? Why would you boost? Fucking boost. Boost. There you go. Callisto Sentinel was destroyed.
Awaiting order.
I wonder if I can do this without dying. Fucking annoying. Let's see if we can do it without dying. It really seemed like you kind of fought me there, and it was annoying. I'd rather trade the Sentinel than the Mako. Harry Anderson. So I came here for some reason. And yep, load me in now. Okay, so I'm done with HyperNet. I'm going to go out now. I will take some. I will buy some. Do I have any ventures? Yeah, I have one. Oh, this is a gas club hover. Yeah, no, that's not what I want. I want you, board ship. And I want you to look at the venture. And I want you to multi-fit 10 of these. Or no, let's make it like 30. There's 30 ventures. Okay, here we go.
Accelerator, silent witness, 11.
So he's coming in on them. I want them to attack him. I want them to bait him closer. I'm gonna come through the portal like a demon. I'm gonna slam him. Yeah.
Entering, silent witness, 11.
Oh good, he's right here. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Can't die to him. There, I got him. I got him. I fucking got him. I got him. I got him. Escort ship Mako. Okay, save. Okay, so I think this is a good place to pause. It is 2:45. Yeah, sun's starting to get a little lower, and I'm going to go for a walk now. I'll log off this game here. Go to desktop so you guys can hear me a little bit better. Yeah, I'm gonna pause here and I'm gonna go walk for like 2 hours, maybe a little bit less, or I don't know. My body's a little bit sore, so maybe a little bit less, like maybe an hour. Because I drove for like 6 hours yesterday. My body's fucking sore from sitting down in that car all day. So. I will be back here whenever it is my body gets sore. Might be like an hour, might be 2 hours, something like that. No, we'll take a shower afterwards, probably. Definitely. So I don't know how long this will be. It'll be 2 hours and 15 minutes at the longest. At 5 o'clock, I'll be back on by 5 o'clock at the latest here. And thank you so much for your time, guys. That's PST, 2:45 p.m. PST. So that's in 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'll be on for the rest of the evening from 5 p.m. on. So thank you so much for your time, but I would like to go get some exercise and stuff. I've been doing pretty good lately, and I'm not trying to like lose the progress. So, you know, I'm going to keep getting my body in better shape and stuff. I keep losing weight, and I'm doing really well. So on that note, I love you guys. Just a reminder, you've been watching Skycat Live, and I am recording this video. This whole process today. Recorded this process, and I will now. Yeah, we are 8 hours and 50 minutes in. Damn. So yeah, there's only 6 hours left in the shift, but that's fine. And so yeah, we're doing pretty good. And so I'm gonna. We're at 9 hours. We got 5 hours to go, something. So I'm gonna pause here the video here. Okay, starting the stream. Okay, I'm back about an hour and a half later. Turns out that I had to go to the title office today, and I didn't know. And so I had to go take care of that, and that took an hour and a half. And so I bought some beer and some pizza, and then I came back. And now I am drinking some beer and I'm going to eat some pizza, and I'm going to play some video games. I want to take a look at lossless scaling type, LS1. Frame generation. Let's do short bilinear. Alright, let's do integer. Scale. I want better performance right here. No, see this. This did not help me. Clip cursor. No. So I don't know. No, this dropped frames. Why is that drop frames? Let's try LS1. No, I lost frames. That's crazy. Try FSR. No, it lost frames. That's insane. Like, I guess it doesn't work for what I wanted. It's fucking annoying. But, okay, we are back online. Hi, guys. I am back. Gotta run my tablet and get all my stuff running again. Oh, I need to plug in this cord. And every time that I mess with this cord, it's annoying. Oh, yeah. Oops. I forgot that I had plugged in this guitar.
Requesting permission to go.
Okay.
Doctor permission granted.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, I ended up buying some beer and getting some pizza. So yeah, here we are. We're back playing some video games and stuff. Maybe I should buy leaping boots. Let's try it for X4. Why are you capped at 20? Good, we're repaired.
Requesting permission to dock. Docking permission granted.
Good, good. Okay, we back and good.
We'll be scanning your cargo hold. Scan away. All clear. Move along. Please halt. We'll be scanning your cargo hold. All clear. Move along.
Joining squad.
Okay, we're doing better. I gotta check the pizza in the oven. I'll be right back. Okay, pizza's done, but I gotta let it cool down. I am going to go sell stuff, maybe. Maybe I can get up and go deal with the trader.
Hello there.
Hello.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Goodbye.
Heretic Sand headquarters is under attack. Okay. Oh! Okay.
Can I help? Here you go.
Damaged engine, lodestone. I have 2 repair lasers.
Goodbye.
Maybe it was helping. Nope.
We have reports of an outbreak of argon flu in this sector. Would all visitors please report to the medic bay for inoculation?
Oh wow, look, it did work though, I think. I wonder if it'll work for Final Fantasy. I don't think this is what I'm looking for. Shadow effects. Gonna go grab my pizza. I'll be right back. All right. Worst shot mini crossbow. Why does this game need
Greetings,
that?
survivors and friends, and welcome to Rust in 2025, where this image I posted a few years ago is soon to be reality. Not that I'm taking credit for anything, but anyway, I'm here on the Orcs 02 branch with news on what happens next, including knight armor, armor slots, an idea of what the new crossbow looks like, and hoppers. No, not that kind. But first, Rust had a hefty year of updates in 2024, and in case you've forgotten what happened, not hard I know, you can check the blog from a few days ago for a recap, and it doesn't look like the team are ready to stop fiddling, as 2025 is already shaping up to be a busy one. Coming up next, on February the 6th, will be the Primitive update, which will change all sorts of stuff and take Rust back to the medieval era. Verily, my liege. A lot of stuff will be included in this, much of which I've already shown, including a siege tower with 3 platforms, a ballista and catapult with various ammo types, and the latter of which can also fire players, a drivable battering ram, 4 different types of shield which can be used with quite a few tools and weapons, a medieval barricade, and a primitive game mode to go with it, which will restrict which items are available and craftable. Still don't have all the details on this. And
Wait, there's a primitive game mode coming?
I'm told the game mode will limit items up to the revolver, for instance.
Wow.
You know, that classic medieval weapon. But there is, interestingly, a server.era convar too, which I'm told is for internal tooling, but intriguingly has parameters for none, primitive, medieval, frontier, and rust. So, potentially, there could be a number of different options down the line. Hopefully it'll be possible to have a play around with this later in the month, so stay tuned. As you can
They're
see,
bringing
I'm
medieval
sporting the
rust?
ultimate in
That's gonna be
retro
amazing.
fashion this week. As now on Orcs 02 we can get a first look at the Knight Armor DLC, which would appear to be a 3-set reskin for the road sign jacket and kilt and the coffee can helmet, with the stats being exactly the same, and despite appearances the helmet doesn't change how you see things. I was kind of hoping for night vision, but alas, it's not to be. I must say I'm a little disappointed that this isn't a full suit of armour, but it's okay as long as you don't look down. And as I say, this will be a DLC! Also coming soon, and I believe part of next month's update, will be a 4-shot mini crossbow, which although not yet in-game to test, I can show you final concept art of here. I think you'll agree this looks rather cool, and I'd imagine the animations have probably taken a bit longer to sort out than most items. I believe it will also be using its own ammo, bolts rather than standard arrows, but I don't have that confirmed just yet. In addition to these changes, according to the blog, melee ranges and damages are being tweaked, although I'm told this is still up in the air and I don't know if these changes will be specific to the primitive game mode or Rust wide yet. And there's talk of armor slots in the commits, which is an early work in progress and therefore massively subject to change. But I am told that the idea is for crafted armor to have slots, much like weapons do for attachments. You might then be able to insert various armor plates, such as asbestos for heat protection, metal and wood for physical protection, and maybe lead for rad protection, and there could be a movement speed penalty for some of these. The stat modifications granted might be quite small, but there may be a possibility of rolling more armor slots when crafting, with the potential for special Ts to influence the chance, and this could be expanded in future to apply to firearms with extra modifiers added. So one day you could be running around with the ultimate legendary irradiated Daedric Eoka of poisoned pickles or something. but this is very much just a concept at the moment. Horses are getting a bit of a rework, as they will have to start pulling their weight a bit more in the primitive mode, as well as siege weapons, and along with a number of changes to animations and general quality of life, they'll also soon be able to swim across bodies of water, although be warned, if they run out of stamina, they'll sink faster than Artax in the Swamps of Sadness, with similar consequences, and underwater flies, it would seem. Also in the commits this week is talk of a new hopper attachment for storage boxes, which will work on the industrial system and collect stuff dropped in a 1.5 meter radius around it. Perfect for those of us who employ the floor filing system. According to the commits, it won't be able to pull items through building blocks, but will be able to do so through deployables. It'll need power and will also act as a storage adapter. More on this when I get it. There are some new graphical options coming, including a new textures section with extra options for mip maps, which were already commands but have now been exposed here, but I'm told these may change depending on how impactful they are. Apart from that, there are a couple of fixes mentioned, such as the holosight reticle switching to the default red whilst night vision's on, just to keep things looking normal, and the maximum length of a telephone directory name increasing to 30 characters from 20. What a time to be alive. And of course there's so much more coming down the pipe later on, such as Cooking 2.0 and the jungle biome, but that's another story for another time. Please let me know what you think to all this new stuff in the comments below, and leave a like and a sub if you'd be so very kind. You can stay up to date with me in all the usual places, including my Steam group, and support me here with Patreon, YouTube memberships and super thanks. All the links are below. I shall catch you all soon, but in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio.
It was good. Dumb. Yeah, man.
Rust is going medieval. With the addition of siege weapons, shields, and a medieval-era game mode, Rust is...
Medieval-era game mode! Yes! Medieval-era game mode. I'm going back to Rust. Ooh, I want to do primitive mode. I will fucking melee people, absolutely. No, you shouldn't. You should not be able to do that, no. Alright, you just won't leave, huh? Oh, you have to give the order while he's in the seat? Okay. pen down somewhere. Where did I do that? Oh, where did I put my pen? That's annoying. It didn't fall, did it? No. Okay. Jacket, wallet.
Requesting permission to dock. Docking permission granted.
Okay. I'm going back to Rustford Medieval. I will stay updated.
What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at a title called Svarog's Dream. This is a game that we covered about a year ago. It was a surprising little action RPG hack and slasher that turned out to be a much better game than expected when you just take a look at the storefront and the general assets and things like that being used. This is one of those games that's not initially going to jump out at you from the Steam storefront, but once you get on into it, you will find that this game does provide a very satisfying old-school RPG experience, and there's not really anything else like it on the storefront. The best thing that I would compare it to is like Beyond Divinity or like Ego Draconis or one of those sort of niche RPGs. But today we're going to be taking a look at it. We're going to be playing the game for about 30 minutes, and the reason for that is the game has an expansion that just came out that adds new areas to the game, it adds new skill trees, other fun things to play around with, and we'll talk about why this game might be worth your notice if you're into sort of indie RPGs that are a little bit smudgy. They're not exactly perfectly implemented, but at the end of the day, the sum of the ideas ends up being more than kind of the sum of its parts, I guess. So if after watching this you wanted to get the game for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description. You can check that out there. On top of that, you can also take a look down in the description. You'll find links to a whole bunch of other random stuff that I have going on that's all Nerd Castle associated, but let's dive straight down on into it. So today, as mentioned, we are checking out Svarog's Dream. This is an RPG that draws inspiration, I think, from a lot of sort of Bohemian folklore and kind of, I guess, like Slavic mythology. And you are a character that has woken up after dying, and for whatever reason, the gods have seen fit to send your soul back to the earth to occupy random bodies that are all over the place. This is a permadeath game, so that's one of those things that you'll probably want to check right at the beginning. Is that, did he run off on me? I'm trying to slay this Leshy over here, but he's not making it easy. He's shooting things at me.
Money.
Fantastic.
Good
Maybe
money,
I should go
too.
run him down. I don't know. But anyways, you can die permanently in this game, but death is actually kind of interesting in this title, because when you die, your soul actually leaves your body and you become somebody else in the game world that will have a different set of skills and like a different batch of things that they're good at. So kind of an interesting little permadeath idea. Along the way, it uses Titan Quest style character building in order for you to decide between a number of
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the first ever episode of Fix Your Fits, the episode that takes the failures of others and uses them to help you become a better capsuleer. Here's how we're gonna do it. We're on Z-Kill, okay? And we're gonna show you some fits that we found, and we're going to talk about what they could have done and try to fix them so that you can be a better capsuleer. That's what we're gonna do, y'all. So we've got the filters here. We're gonna start with high sec. Okay? And we're gonna not do, structures. We're gonna just do ships. The structures are not that hard to do. So let's try these out first. Let's just see the first 5 we got. Okay. We have an Ocketer. My bread and butter. Ooh, my man. He dropped Billy. He dropped 900 million isk. Let's see what he dropped, y'all. Oh my. Y'all got high sect ganked with the double command link in. Oh my god, they dropped all the goodies. These gankers are so happy, dude. They got all the mind links. Look at this. Not the Loki course fine. Helioses. These are so light. You could just put them in your cargo and leave. You know they were laughing all the way to the bank. What is this? Rupture. Easy kill for these guys. Let's see how we think it happened. We're in Bagodan. We are 20k off of a
Fucking
Stargate.
Bagodan.
Now, this to me tells me that either we're not seeing a lot of drones. Let's look at his fit. We've got Cloak, Interdiction Null. Okay, he's got the Micro Warp Trap Cloak Trick. We have an EM Hardener in the mids. Not terrible, by the way. Not terrible. And a Micro Jump Drive. Eye Stabs. Oh boy, I've got some stuff to say about this. Explosive Hardener, Nano. This is horrible. Dude, it's horrible. And a Warp Core Stab. It's just not good for high sec. Okay, so, oh no, you didn't do the hyper, bro. He's got the Hyper Spatials.
there was no help, no fire department, not in our area. We didn't see one until now that they're coming by.
On the flip side of that, I can sit there and say, well, you need to do something at the homeless cabins. A lot of the fires lately, especially in California.
Thank
are
you,
homeless.
Andrew Callahan, for the
This
extra
guy's
content from the stream. I'd like to sub to your channel.
A situation like this, you had the Palisade fire start, and then you had this one start. You're stretching the resources.
The firefighters, they stretched thin up here. They've helped as much as they could.
But you're really not going to stop when fire like this.
Bro, I've never seen anything like this. It feels like literally like an apocalypse. This is my old elementary, engulfed in flames right by my mom's house. Yeah, bro, everything's just going to shit right now.
We were here for over 40 years, and now it's all gone.
Just seeing stuff like this just brings me to tears, bro. I just had to go water down my homie's house, took his bird. Homie was just chilling. He left him there because he left him last night.
Damn.
I can't leave animals there, bro.
No
animal, no life gets left
No
behind.
animal, no life. That's right. No one gets left behind.
California.
Fucking Altadena, homie.
There's smoke and fire all around us.
10 people have been killed in the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles.
BRB. Gonna get another beer.
This is one of the 5 wildfires that have broke out in LA in the past 24 hours.
It just, I don't know, it just keeps sparking up back by itself. It doesn't turn off.
As you can see, unfortunately, this house did not survive. Still on fire, pretty depressing. We're gonna talk to some people around here and see how they're being affected, so let's get into it.
My name's Susana Larios, and as you can see, my house burned this morning. We just lost everything.
I'm sorry, babe.
Thank God that we're all alive. That we were able to evacuate and, go to safety.
Yep, that's what counts. That's what matters.
We turn back to see our house gone. This is unreal. We've been here for 13 years. Everything is gone. We didn't even get a chance to actually take anything out of our house. So
I've had it happen to me like 7 times. It fucking sucks. I feel ya.
Our family pictures. Our dog's ashes. We had them cremated and they were in our house. And, just those personal belongings. Everything else is material. It can be replaced, but memories.
It can be replaced.
When they were young, my kids were young. I won't ever get those pictures back.
What's one of your favorite memories here?
We had a pool, so family times, barbecues. Summer, this is the place to be. I think first time coming into the house, pool wasn't ready, but our dog decided to jump in, so we went after him.
He actually fell in the pool, and he went in a swampy pool and rescue him from drowning.
Oh, you
did? Because he didn't know how to swim, and he was, running around in a circle and fell in the pool. So.
Was that the same dog whose ashes was in there, or a different dog?
No, it's the same. Yeah, the same ashes.
What kind of dog was Nike?
A bull terrier.
Yeah, that's the bull.
We had a pool table over there. It's gone. This is the back house to the house. You can't see not even one room. It's a 2-story house.
As far as like fire insurance, is that something that you had?
I hope so. I mean,
I
yeah,
hope
that's
so.
one of the things I remember talking to our agent, State Farm, and hopefully we do have that insurance.
State Farm canceled hundreds of homeowners' insurance policies for residents in many of the same areas in the path of the Southern California wildfires. The insurance company's reasoning for canceling policies was due to concerns about the increased frequency and magnitude of wildfires in the state.
These homes we insured, they're burning. We're insurance companies. We can't pay out insurance claims. That wouldn't be robbing everybody. We're here to rob people. That's why we're not here to pay insurance claims on houses that burn in California. No. We just want to take their money. We don't want to pay out any insurance claims. No.
strategy to prevent, quote, financial failure.
You know, I sent her the picture of the house when it was burning. So, you know, she's going to give me our policy number and help me out with whatever I can.
Well, I hope that insurance covers a lot of this stuff. That's what it's supposed to do, right?
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see what happens when we reach out to them, if they can help us. But everything else, it's gone.
Do you have an email address for people out there who might want to help you and get in touch with you?
Sure. It's Estrada. That's ESTRADA.
If the developer didn't suck so bad, I would play the video. God damn it. But the developers suck so bad, they can't handle a video.
I appreciate y'all very much.
Unlike the Pacific Palisades area on the west side, an affluent area where many celebrities' homes unfortunately burnt down, Altadena is a diverse working-class suburb located just north of Pasadena in the foothills of the Angeles National Forest. As we've seen, many in the area have been critical about the lack of fire department response, and across the world, everybody seems to be pointing fingers at who to blame for the wildfires. However, many locals understand that the magnitude of these fires is unprecedented, and that firefighters and first responders are doing everything they can to keep the fire contained, which is particularly difficult due to the state's crippling water crisis, a situation that by all measures is a direct result of climate change, overconsumption, and corporate greed. Many people don't know this, but LA and San Diego have been out of water for years, and now purchase most of their fresh water from privatized corporations, like the Wonderful Company, owned by a billionaire couple called the Resnicks, who systematically export drinking water from agricultural counties like Kern and Imperial. This practice has already caused devastating ecological and health impacts on communities like Bombay Beach, California, which we plan to cover in an upcoming video.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
I don't know. It all depends on if they can save the seed.
But back to Altadena.
Everybody stretched in from the Palisade fire to the Eaton fire here on the east side of Pasadena, over by the museum, the Silmar fire, 210. So it's already, everybody's already stretched in and trying to cover all these hot spots. It's like, which way do you go?
Yeah.
So, you know, I commend the firefighters and first responders. Everybody stretched in. We're all trying to help the best way we can. Stuff like this, there's no way to prevent it, because how can you prepare for it? I mean, how can you prepare for it? And once the winds picked up, the embers traveled, and then the power lines going, one little ember plus high winds, just the smallest little fuel source, it just sparked, whether it's leaves, canopies, you know, from easy ups, anything like that, everything just went up.
Like many others, this concerned citizen that we talked to decided to take matters into his own hands and stay put to protect his neighborhood, despite evacuation orders issued by the city.
Me, I was born and raised here, my childhood home, so I did everything I could to save it. We're a pretty tight-knit community. My next door neighbors, we all grew up with each other since we were kids. A lot of my buddies were, you know, coming through with supplies and generators. We managed to save, you know, my dad's house, next door neighbor, and these 4 houses. With the help of some other guys, you know, we wet all the roofs, the floors.
Got the fires out first. The fire started over here, and then my son and I, we just kept the water and kept all the ambers from jumping from house to house. So
we managed to save some houses on the back street in Navarro. We managed to save those with water hoses. We managed to survive, but, you know, unfortunate for my other neighbors, they didn't make it. You know, all their stuff was gone. It hurts. Yeah, it hurts. Just gone. Nobody deserves it.
While some people were able to stay back and protect their homes from catching on fire, others followed city orders and evacuated, with the hopes that they'd get lucky and their house would be spared. However, most people in Altadena did not get so lucky. As you walk through the neighborhood uphill toward Angeles National Forest, nearly every structure is destroyed, aside from a select few. Here's an interview with a recently evacuated family who returned home to find their house burnt to the ground. This is a very emotional interview, so viewer discretion is advised.
Is this your house?
Yeah. We were here for over 40 years. Now it's all gone. We had evacuated early this morning about 3:30. There was no, well, we saw the fires, but we didn't think, you know, that it was gonna reach this low. We were just able to leave with whatever we had on, and you know, a little bit of clothes, but not really. We lost everything we had in the house. Pictures, memories, everything's gone. We don't know what we're gonna do now.
So was it the embers coming from the mountain caused
Yes.
some of the houses?
Yes, because last night it was about, I don't know, 5 o'clock when we saw the fire, or a friend, her sister drove by Eden Canyon, and she took a video and she told us, so, but we didn't think anything of it until we started seeing that the fire started moving, you know, quickly, but we didn't think, you know, that it was gonna come down this far, you know, but we just got up and left around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
So about 12 hours ago.
Yeah, and the winds were really, really strong, and it was pitch black. So we, you know, we panicked. So we just got whatever we could, because she has 2 little kids, my 2 little grandsons. We just got whatever we could, and we just left.
What was the most important item you think was in the house?
My parents passed away, so their pictures, her baby, you know, her kids' pictures. I mean, but that's the least, you know, of our problems. You know, we got out alive and we're okay, you know.
Well, aside from that, do y'all have insurance or anything like that?
No, we don't. We rented it. We didn't own the house, but we rented. But still, you know, we lost everything. We don't know what we're gonna do now. It'll take us time to pick up and, you know, start over, but it's gonna be hard.
If somebody wanted to donate to you, to, you know, offer you some help and some aid during a moment like this, is there any way that someone could do that? Like, do you have Zelle or something like that?
We have cell that are
Okay.
connected to my husband's phone number. Mine is through email. It's L_Espinosa68@yahoo.com. Anybody that wants to help is deeply appreciated.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Has really shaken up.
Wait, this is probably entirely DMCA.
As a real estate agent, you never really know who
Thank
you're
you,
dealing
Vice.
with.
I've like subbed to your channel.
She could have been an actual billionaire. She could have been a scam artist, and I would never know the difference.
This project is kind of like a Robin Hood project. I pretended to be a billionaire so I can get into the most exclusive apartments in New York.
We're not just selling a building. The reason why people are living here is because of the lifestyle that we're offering.
85 million, 10 million, 16 million.
These people are the 1% of the 1%.
I think it's really obscene that like these buildings exist.
Your maid
Me too.
will be getting ready
Yep.
with dinner while you're just having one of the finest champagnes in a soaking tub with your husband. Imagine waking up every morning to these views. Gabriella, I really see you living here.
The cheapest property I've been to was 10 million, and the most expensive was 85 million. They manipulate the cities to the disadvantage of everyone else in the cities. My name is Andy Schmid, and in 2016, I spent 3 months in New York at an artist residency program. Basically, this whole idea started with the biggest cliche that I went up to the Empire State Building, and I saw the views, and I basically realized that there are lots of buildings that are
Empty.
as tall or even taller than the Empire State Building, and I just basically was really curious about what the view from those buildings look like. That's when I started to work on my book and my project. I chose 25 buildings, high, ultra-luxury towers.
93 stories above the city, this is what $81 million gets you.
$81 million. Who the fuck's gonna pay that? You're
with
fucking
floor-to-ceiling
stupid.
views of a metropolis.
Nah, you're stupid.
My goal was really to show those views that are considered to be the best views you can privately own in New York. First, I really just wanted to photograph the views.
They're
for
worthless.
book.
That's just
As
what
I
you
was going
said it
deeper
was
and
going to
deeper in
be.
this word, it became
And
more
then you
more
made no
obvious
sales
that
for
it's like
20 years.
something totally bizarre and crazy. I was like laying in bed and really I was just thinking, how could I get in those buildings? I remember I told about the project to the curator who was working at the residency, and she told me no way they would ever let you in without a credit check. The only way for that is to pretend to be a billionaire who is searching for an apartment. From the moment on that I started to work on the project, this was pretty much the only thing I could think about. Write it down, check the address, go home, check if there's any real estate available, call the agency, and usually next day go and see it and take a picture of the view. And so really for 3 months I was living in between this Gabriella, which was my billionaire persona, and myself back and forth on the A line from Brooklyn to Manhattan.
My name is Daniel Rosenstein. I
She
worked
was
in
the
real
real
estate
star.
for 4 years. I met Andy 2 years ago when she was infiltrating New York's most exclusive properties. I was doing Airbnb in my apartment in the Upper West Side.
And first I remember that he asked me, what are you doing in New York? And when he said he's a real estate agent, I was actually a bit hesitant to tell him what I came here for.
She told me that she was making a book. So I think at first I was like, oh, she's mocking our profession. I'm just a pawn in your project here. And then the more she was talking about it, the more I saw her point of view, which is almost nobody has access to these apartments. You have to go through a doorman,
Please
you have
stop,
to
please
reach out
stop,
to a
please
real
stop.
estate agent. It's not a normal real estate market where you can show up to an open house. She asked a few questions, I think how to navigate getting into buildings. I told her to use the term we're looking for a pied-à-terre or second home in the city. A lot of really wealthy people look for second, third, fourth, fifth homes, and she at that point had essentially created her whole persona.
Gabriella is my actual middle name because at the beginning I didn't know if they would check my passport ever. And actually at some of the properties they did check it. And I remember back then I was really obsessed by many of these small details, that I need to do my nails, that I need to have proper shoes, proper bag. In order to do this project, I needed to bring and photograph the view. This made me obviously very unusual in the eyes of the agents, but I also realized that the stranger I am, the more convincing it is that I'm actually a billionaire and I just don't give a shit. I was really, really nervous at this very first viewing. The agent started to ask me if I have a chef, if I have a nanny, if we have private chauffeur. So I just randomly answered yes and no. And all of these answers kind of became part of what Gabriella was.
Tell your husband every morning that this is really where you want to be.
There are a few different types of agents. There are the ones who are kind of like very natural and just showing you, here is the kitchen, here is the bathroom, this is the price. And there is the complete other end of the spectrum.
You will feel, Gabriella, it is like going on a journey from the sidewalks of 19th century old New York to the sidewalks of Florence.
I actually might just prefer the 21st century.
So imagine
He's good
your
at this.
daughter running around saying words in Hungarian.
It was really hard to kind of like keep a straight face in those viewings. I mean, it was like really bizarre what they were telling me.
Sit down, Gabriella. It really is a moment for you. Just tell your husband he loves you and he wants you to be happy. I'm sure he will not say no to you if you let him know this is really your first choice.
Yeah.
Because this ultra luxury segment of the real estate is actually
Jesus Christ, the stuff that she got is fucking amazing.
now not really going that well. The newer the development, the crazier the amenities they have, because there's really this like huge competition. One of the things that became an absolute standard for these buildings
is fake golf.
Is the golf simulator.
The golf simulator? Oh my god, you see these everywhere and you're like, what?
Room, Michelin-starred private restaurant in the building, theater, swimming.
Private restaurant in the building.
Pool, obviously.
Equinox gym, they have children's playroom, a billiards room, a conference.
Why do the rich people need that? They're out there like, okay, let's see. You have 24 hours in a day. Maybe you might swim in the pool. Yeah.
Room and everything in between.
In one of the penthouses, it was that they would give you a yacht as a present when you buy the apartment.
I'll give you a yacht.
Yeah. You mentioned the number of people who are actually living in poverty according to the federal poverty numbers, but we all know living in New York, it's a whole different ballgame.
The average rent across the city has returned to nearly pre-pandemic levels.
Pre-pandemic levels.
We built fewer homes in the 2010s than in
Act
any
now.
decade going back to the 1960s.
I think the way poverty is usually portrayed is from the bottom. So talk about homelessness, or you talk about people who cannot afford housing. I think when you see it from this like very top of the sphere, it somehow is also very telling. The buildings that you can see from every single corner of the city are these ultra luxury real estate, which are not accessible for anyone. Really. Apartments and buildings are.
They're just like looking for suckers. They're the bait that they use to find the people who have too much money who need a place in New York. And so they keep these crazy empty buildings, and like there's nothing in the building except for tons of lap of luxury apartments and crazy shit in restaurants and pools and stuff like this. But nobody ever buys anything because they want like $25 million a floor or whatever it is, and nobody ever buys anything. So these places just sit empty, and they're like they're basically they're like the bait that rich people use to fuck other rich people out of their fucking money. And when nobody comes, they just sit there. These buildings with like pools and private restaurants and shit, they just sit there. And yeah, the upkeep is insanely expensive, and there's janitors going through all the time trying to keep it all clean and everything. And they're like, but nobody's living there, so it's easy to keep it clean. Nothing ever really happens. And it's just these places remain empty, but it's like all of mankind's money is like there. When you think about New York City and all the buildings they built, a ton of our money is all those buildings that they built, which turned out to just be bait built by rich people to fuck other rich people who didn't take the bait. And so those buildings are just... Boy, the crystals that they have you pop, they're like actually really painful.
Standing 60 to 70% empty.
Commercial and residential wonderland featuring some of the city's tallest buildings and most expensive restaurants and condos.
If you are looking to call Steinway Tower home, studios start at $7.7 million.
Listen, you know, not to be not sympathetic to the homeless, but if you live in 157, you're paying millions of dollars to live there. Do you want a homeless shelter in your building? I don't think so.
We are not building enough housing for everybody who needs a place to live.
Here's what it's like living in the smallest apartment in New York. Wherever your expectations are, lower them.
So these
housing for everybody who needs a place to live.
Here's what it's like living in the smallest apartment in New York. Wherever your expectations are, lower them.
So these buildings are
Whatever your expectations are, lower them.
kind of really soulless in a sense. They are super standardized.
The trends that I see in these properties are a lot of the same finishes and materials used. Some of the floor plans are the exact same. I think it's a really challenging task to create something different when you're working with essentially the same floor plan, which is a tall square or a rectangle in the sky.
Oh wow, who was the interior designer?
Deborah Burke. There is no one better in design at the moment.
So you have
Deborah Berg. There's no one better to sign. Save.
always just some very special type of marble in the apartment that the agents would always highlight.
The marble is Siberian, which is now the best on the market.
Then you would have the oak floor, which is always the best type of oak floor. And there's like really nothing that would make any of these buildings stand out, to be honest. But it's not really surprising when you realize that it's solely a form of investment, most of the cases. So it's really not about living, and it's not about having a soul. And it shows. It's really obvious when you are there. One of the most striking things was how agents are trying to always go out of their way to tell me that no one else lives in these buildings, that I'm not
No
gonna
one
have
has
any
ever
neighbors.
lived.
A lot of these billionaire road towers are investments for overseas and local people, so they'll rent them out or they'll just own them, have them sit empty for a number of years and resell them. It's a safe investment, it holds value over time, but what that translates to is buildings sitting empty. There's a trickle-down effect, so once the hyper-expensive properties become even more expensive, it raises.
This is why we're all homeless. There's so many empty buildings that easily could be used for the whole mass of humanity. But we don't think of it as we anymore. We think of it as us and them.
Raises the value of everything else beneath it.
We don't think of us as America winning if every last one of us has a home and a place to be and a shower and transportation and stuff. We don't think of it like that. We think of it as like us and them, and us as people who have stuff and them as people who don't.
I get very often the comment that this project is kind of like a Robin Hood project, in the sense that I'm getting the views which other people or most people cannot see to the public, and it's like being so high up, it's cool, but then it didn't feel good to be there in a way. Or one of the very big problems of these buildings, they are casting sometimes hundreds and hundreds of meters of shadows, for example.
Yeah, and this one trips me out really bad. Like, there's this dystopian future of how the like all the buildings in Central Park keep building upwards, but they're all investments from the rich people who stole all the money from the society. Oh shit, the fuck. I did not expect a mob right now at all. I did not expect a mob. Oh.
over the Central Park.
So she's going to talk about shadows. Do you see how it all casts shadows and stuff over Central Park? And you see these shadows when you live there. You see the shadow grow across the park and stuff. And eventually, do you see how they're making a box? This is how humanity is. They just box you in. And they just want things to be a certain way. But Central Park is a park. It's always going to be a park. But the shadow isn't something that the Central Park can control. But they said that within like 100 years, so many more buildings are going to shoot up around this area as this gets like crazy, that the park will just be this dystopian nightmare of shadow where Sauron lives. It'll literally be like it'll literally be where Sauron is born. Because it's just this park that's enveloped, you know, in these tall buildings that just, you know, keep getting bigger and bigger. After like 350 years and stuff, they knock down that building and they build a big fuck building. But none of these buildings are, well, like, I mean, a lot of these buildings are inhabited, but a bunch of the investment buildings are not inhabited.
Or over other people's, up until then sunny living rooms, or just over the streets. And so somehow these buildings that are not even lived in are taking away such natural things from the rest of the city as sunlight.
There's a lot of money in New York, and I think there will always continue to be a lot of money in New York. I do think it's going to be more segregated.
What I learned from this project is really just how obscene differences are in society.
Yeah, it's really crazy. There's like, you know, the people who have everything, and then the people who stand outside a block away fucking starving to death.
I guess, and how this can translate into this like very literal physical form in the city, and how that is impacting everything around it.
Hi.
How this 31-year-old woman scammed J.P. Morgan.
Welcome to another episode of Cold Fusion. Many people dream about success from a young age. We see the covers of magazines featuring young entrepreneurs, those who thought different, defied the status quo, and decided to embark on a journey that led them to massive wealth and success. We all know these stories, but sometimes when someone tries to achieve success by any means necessary, it can go very wrong. Such is the story of Charlie Javis. On the surface, everything seemed flawless. Millions of dollars in funding from JP Morgan, a spot on the prestigious Forbes 30 Under 30 list, and support from industry titans like Apollo's CEO, Mark Rowan. But lurking behind this polished facade was a network of lies, deceit, and flagrant exaggerations. For a decade, Charlie carefully crafted an image that deflected nearly all controversies. But as we've seen previously on this channel, her precious house of cards eventually came crashing down.
Could be facing up to 100 years in prison accused of defrauding J.P. Morgan Chase out of millions.
Charlie Javis. She was a hotshot in the startup world.
Didn't scam students, but scammed the bank.
So who was she, and how did she manage to fool and defraud one of the biggest banks in the world? This is the story of Charlie Javis. Charlie's entrepreneurial aspirations seems to have taken root in her teenage years. She grew up in an affluent New York family, attending a well-known French-American private school in New York. The idea for her first venture came while she was still in high school. In a story strangely mirroring Elizabeth Holmes, she got her first idea after a trip overseas. For Charlie Javis, the destination was Thailand, and when she returned, she had the idea to start a microfinance product. During her visit, she recognized that people in developing nations lacked access to credit. Her solution was to have a service that offered small, low-interest and secure loans to those who are underprivileged. The result was her non-profit called PoverUp. It worked as an online platform that used microfinance for social good to, quote, end poverty with the click of a mouse. It would work by harnessing small student contributions to make loans possible. But as we'll later see, even in this, all was not as it seems. After high school, Charlie pursued a finance and law undergraduate degree at Wharton. Her venture made headlines, landing her a feature in Inc. magazine. They called her idea one of the coolest college startups. Around the same time, Fast Company listed her as one of 100 of the most creative people. This was the first time she was able to create media attention. As it would turn out, this would be the most important skill that she had. The recognition caught the eye of the Peter Thiel Foundation. They were offering students $100,000 to leave college and chase their entrepreneurial dreams. However, according to a Pover-Up Tumblr post, Charlie withdrew from the competition, choosing to stay in school. Despite missing out on $100,000, the scholarship bid earned her significant media attention, way more than before. Following graduation, Javis began exploring new market gaps that required addressing. Following several business plan revisions, she finally discovered the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, or FAFSA. And this is what it is. Each year, the Federal Student Aid Office distributes over $249 billion in federal aid to 13 million students. The thing is, there's a major issue with it. The application process is notoriously difficult, causing students to leave billions of dollars unclaimed each year. Determined to assist students, she devised a solution that could simplify the whole process to an application of just 5 minutes or less.
It's totally free. That's really important to us for all students to benefit from. So a student takes a picture of their tax returns, then we do all the tax math for you. So no math errors.
She's a sociopath. She's a liar. She's lying so much. She's pretending that she's competent, but she doesn't actually have any power. And she's just basically tricked everybody around her into just following the hustle.
And put you into very complicated verification. Very simple language. We take a flow that might take hours with the federal government, and most students take 4 minutes with us. So that's more or less how it works. You see how much you're eligible for, then you can go to school, feel confident, see what your bill is, and then figure out the gap to help you.
This was the core idea of what she would call Frank. As she described, quote, Frank kind of represented that as a name because it just meant honest. Using her status and connections that she'd gained from media exposure, she was easily able to find financing for her project. In just a few years, Frank had raised more than $20 million in funding and accumulated over 300,000 users. On paper, the company looked like a massive success, with Javis seizing every opportunity to promote herself as an up-and-coming star of the business world. She reflected her thoughts to Insider in 2021, quote, I built a business and raised funds out of college, turning down a finance job, even though I was told I would fail because I didn't have business experience. But soon, major red flags began to appear. In 2017, the Department of Education issued a cease and desist letter. The reason? Frank may be misleading students into thinking that it's associated with the government's official website. Following the incident, the company changed its marketing to clarify that it had no affiliation with the US government. But this was just the beginning of the problems. In December of 2017, Javis wrote an opinion piece for the New York Times. It was supposed to be on, quote, the 8 most confusing things about FAFSA. The thing was, the article later had to include a significant correction stating that there were multiple inaccuracies about the aid process. Now, just think to yourself, how is the CEO of a company that specializes in this exact field able to get so many things wrong? It's not a good look. The general public didn't pay much attention though, because Javis was on a media tour. She frequently appeared on articles and podcasts, so much so that it culminated in her inclusion on the Forbes prestigious 30 Under 30 list in 2019. By 2021, Javis had begun exploring the possibility of selling her venture. By the start of summer, the now famous startup founder was able to secure a meeting with JP Morgan. Eager to expand their presence in the rapidly growing niche of student financial products, JP Morgan saw Charlie Javis's company, Frank, as a great way to increase market share and secure talent to help them grow in that sector. During the meetings, Javis held nothing back, and she pitched her company as, quote, an acquisition machine, amassing over 4.5 million customers in just 4 years. She also claimed that her company knew, quote, more about their students than any lender, college, or employer. The pitch was a success. After a few meetings, she managed to convince JP Morgan to purchase her company for $175 million. What? It was an amazing payday for Charlie. Though there was one thing remaining, the bank had to do due diligence. And one of the first items on JP Morgan's due diligence list? To verify those 4.25 million customers that Charlie said she had amassed. At this point, it's important to remember that the bulk of the company's price had to do with the quality of their customer base. The higher the number, the higher the price tag that JP Morgan would be willing to pay. And something peculiar happened. Charlie refused to provide the list. She said privacy concerns. But there was another reason for this. She was hiding something. The fact was, in reality, there weren't 4 million users, but fewer than 300,000.
Yep, at all.
When July 2021 arrived, Charlie needed to present the data for the deal to proceed. She was at a crossroads. Now, should she disclose the actual figures and risk losing a very profitable deal, or fabricate the numbers to guarantee the acquisition? You see, Charlie was worried because before JP Morgan, there was another bidder for the company. But after they saw the real numbers, they withdrew their negotiations. Fearing the loss of another potential buyer, she opted to falsify the data, hoping she could pull it off. According to legal documents, quote, Javis chose each time to lie, and time and again, she layered fraud upon fraud to deceive JP Morgan. Javis needed to figure something out, and quickly. How was she going to get a customer database with more than 4 million customer emails? This is where her Chief Growth Officer, Olivier Amar, comes into the picture. Initially, Amar approached the company's top engineer to create the fake accounts, but the engineer smelt a rat and he questioned the legality of the request. Javis assured him that, quote, no one will end up in an orange jumpsuit, but the engineer knew better and he ultimately refused. Having no other option, Charlie had a backup. She knew a guy, a professor in New York who specialized in, quote, creative solutions for data problems. She would reach out to him for help. With the professor's assistance, they were able to create over 4 million fake accounts by using an algorithm. The algorithm created new fake customer information based on real profiles. After some tinkering, they scraped together a list. They held their breath and sent it off to JP Morgan. Surprisingly or unsurprisingly, the banking giant bought it. As a thank you, Javis paid the professor $18,000 for his efforts. And now, they just had to wait for their payday. But before that, they needed to cover their tracks. Charlie ordered the destruction of the fake customer list within minutes of a third party completing their analysis. Amar spent an additional $105,000 acquiring a separate dataset of 4.5 million students. This was a contingency plan, just in case the other dataset failed. Once the deal closed, Javis received $10 million in compensation and was eligible for an additional $20 million retention bonus as a managing director at JP Morgan. Amar became an executive director and received $5 million as well as a $3 million retention bonus. Around that time, Charlie went onto social media to boast that, quote, it's not every day that an entrepreneur gets her fairy tale new beginning, not ending. However, this illusion of glory ended almost as quickly as it began. A couple of months later, JP Morgan was busy integrating Charlie's company and team into their operations. They wanted to start utilizing that vast customer base that they acquired. In the process, they dispatched advertisement emails to 400,000 franc customers. And here, it was immediately clear that something was horribly wrong. A mere 20% of emails were even delivered, and an even more minuscule 1% were opened. Investigating deeper, JP Morgan discovered the email exchange with the corrupt university professor, and they were seeing red. Both Amar and Javis would be suspended from their JP Morgan roles, and in December of 2022, JP Morgan filed charges against them. Javis had the goal to retaliate and countersue. She argued that her termination was not just. You know what else isn't just? Faking your entire business. Unfortunately for her, the court found the evidence against her to be compelling. And in April 2023, she was found guilty on 4 separate counts of having, quote, falsely and dramatically inflated Frank's customer numbers and, quote, fraudulently induced JP Morgan to acquire her company.
Now to a high-profile fraud case that's literally happening in front of us in real time. The 31-year-old accused of, quote, falsely and dramatically inflating the number of customers that the company had in a scheme to fraudulently induce JP Morgan to acquire the startup in 2021. She stood to gain more than $45 million from the alleged deception. In January, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon called the acquisition of Frank a, quote, huge mistake. There's a lot of people around a transaction of this size, and not to have any idea that the numbers aren't exactly what is being said.
Kind of go back to FTX.
You know.
It's just shocking that she thought she could just get away with faking the numbers and lying, taking home the pay packet and expecting JP Morgan just to not look deeper. If we dig deeper into Charlie's history, we begin to see the real picture, and it's a real doozy. As it turns out, her squeaky clean image was just an illusion. As a person familiar with her would later remark, quote, this is exactly what she had been doing, what she had been doing all along, and now she has gotten caught for it. Tracing things back to her college years, remember her first venture, PoverUp, the micro-lending platform for developing countries? Yeah. Well, it was never officially registered as any type of company. There are no records of its existence, and this is despite her bold claims of customers and partnership deals. Some of those partners have even come out and said, no, we don't know who this person is. We've never done a deal with PoverUp or Charlie Javis. Despite telling Wharton magazine in 2013 that PoverUp raised $300,000 from friends or family, a former board member confirmed it didn't distribute a single loan. And remember the Peter Thiel scholarship that she supposedly turned down?
Peter Thiel?
Well, Michael Gibson, who oversaw the grants, stated in a Forbes article, quote, she was never offered a fellowship, and it bothers me that she is going around saying that. Because of her personality, we didn't trust that she could get started in a real way. Reportedly, her team cheated during a scavenger hunt challenge for the scholarship trials. Gibson commented, quote, the funny thing is, cheating in a scavenger hunt is a pretty small thing, but it's weird. Now she's being accused of something on a much greater, grander scale. It's almost like too much on the nose. He also recalled that one reason for her rejection from the program was that she presented her venture as ongoing when, in reality, there was nothing to show for it. Of course, as we've seen already. Despite all these disasters, she would move on to her next project, Frank, and secure $10 million in funding. But this company was also a mess. Initially, it was a job search website that connected young workers with job opportunities via text message. Then it was a credit score website, and finally, it helped students with aid programs. According to insiders, it was a very rocky start. Allegedly, the venture ran out of money, leading Javis to stop paying her employees and refused to provide promised equity bonuses. This led to a lawsuit, but this disaster didn't matter because Javis was a marketing genius. She could rewrite her own narrative. When she would retell the story, she omitted the lawsuit. She said the layoffs were the most difficult time in her life. So we know that Javis does seem to manipulate and lie, but by the time she launched Frank, she'd gone bonkers. A person present at the first investor meeting said that Javis promoted the product by claiming that they had thousands of sign-ups when they had none. Quote, we'd all start looking at each other like, this is insanity. You can't be saying these things. Some of the things that were being said were just inexcusably inaccurate. When those same people ended up confronting her about it, Javis would state, quote, listen, these old people don't understand. This is how it works. You fake it till you make it.
Nope.
In one of her appearances on a podcast, she stated that,
God damn it, fake it till you make it is like my fucking least favorite sentence in the human race. Fake it till you make it is such a fucking horrible ethos. I have never faked it till I made it. I actually sang. I actually fucking cut 3 albums. I actually have 5 songs on YouTube and 2,000 fucking, fucking videos and shit. Like, I actually have, like, shit, I actually did shit. I have the friends that I have. I've been the places I've been. Like, fake it to make it. I've been to Paris. I've been to France. I've been to London. I've been to Hawaii and shit. Like it's weird. It's like, why fucking fake anything? Why fake anything at all?
Quote, Being a founder, I'm obviously skewed towards being overly optimistic, and sometimes that works to your advantage, sometimes it doesn't. And there were definitely times where I painted a rosier picture than things truly were. Regarding the internal atmosphere at the company, from her previous mismanagement experiences, testimonies from employees painted a picture of misery, with management solely focusing on user-based growth and neglecting all other concerns. As it stands, Charlie Javis's story emerges as yet another cautionary tale, drawing parallels with the cases of Elizabeth Holmes and Sam Bankman-Fried. In each of these three scenarios, their marketing prowess significantly outshone their actual management abilities. Javis was marketed as a genius. She lied and faked her way to the top, but bit off more than she could chew when she tried to scam JP Morgan, and it came back to bite her in a big way. This is also
But she's trying to scam JP Morgan, so I
a
don't...
vivid reminder of how the...
So I don't dislike her. If you're gonna go fuck somebody, go fuck JP Morgan. She went looking for a bank to fuck, and honestly, I find that attractive. Tell me she's not beautiful. This lady went to go fuck a bank out of like $150 million. Look how hot she is.
The fake it till you make it.
She's looking like fucking Fiona Apple and shit. She looks so hot. And she fucks bankers, you know what I'm saying? Not like literally either. I'm talking like she fucks banks. And honestly, I think a man could, or well, anybody could, you know, derive a lot of satisfaction out of fucking the bank. Do I really hate her? No. More power to her. Fuck JP Morgan.
Mentality can backfire, and rapidly.
That mentality can backfire, and rapidly, yeah. It could.
On a wider macro scale, this kind of tells us something as well. Usually during boom times and prosperous times, unethical behavior can easily be overlooked. Tech investors are eagerly jumping on every opportunity because if they don't, they're going to miss out on the next big thing. But when the economic tide turns and sober reality returns, many are left stranded. And this is precisely the current sentiment. The Forbes 30 Under 30 list has been widely ridiculed for showcasing some of the decade's most notorious fraudsters on its magazine covers. However, the selections themselves may not be the issue. As you know, if you've watched my videos, since 2008 until very recently, we've been living in a fake macroeconomic environment, supported by low interest rates and easy money. Now, add social media into the mix where reality and fiction blur, and you have a recipe for individuals that want to take advantage of the times and craft narratives for their own fake success. So that is the story of Charlie Javis, the woman who flew too close to the sun, which was JP Morgan. For me, scammers and fraudsters have always been out there, but there's something about the millennial generation that just seems to be on a grander scale and much more brazen. If you've got any thoughts on why, I'd be interested to hear. That's just my opinion though. And I'm a millennial myself, so I'm not throwing any shade. Alright, so thanks for watching.
Yeah, I'm
Hope
a
you did
millennial
enjoy
myself.
that.
But I know that people my age are just like, when they see something, they'll do anything to get it. Isn't that an accurate statement? Everybody my age is like that. If there's something that they want, they'll fucking go and get it. They'll go and get it, whatever it means, whatever it is, whatever that is, they'll do it. They'll fucking figure out some way to go get it. Okay, I gotta go pee. I'll be right back. Fairly drunk. Okay, sorry about that. Had to be. Fairly drunk. I believe I will switch the script here. And get off this game and get off of this game before I lose any ships or anything like that. Save. We'll keep you to to crafting and stuff, and I will switch games. And I'm going to stop this video. And just a reminder, I'm staying here to keep streaming on Twitch, but I'm going to get off of anything YouTube DMCA right now, because I'm going to play some Clone Hero and play some music. And I'm going to go do that, and that means getting off of YouTube. So just a reminder, guys, you've been watching a Skycat Live. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. Put me on in the background. Click on the cast face to donate. Come to my Twitch or my YouTube. Give me a like, sub, or a follow. And I will be spending the rest of the evening getting drunk. And if you're on YouTube, come on over to the Twitch. I'll be spending the rest of the evening, get drunk, and I'm gonna play some Clone Hero in the dark. I'm gonna turn the lights on right now. Yeah, I'm gonna play some Clone Hero in the motherfucking dark. There we go. Yep. And okay. So, time to stop the video.